Welcome to Things You Don't Know, where we don't just talk about what happened, we talk about what it meant. I'm Dr. William Weaver.
And I'm Chandler Foster, here to represent the side of the audience that has very complicated feelings about morally gray women in leather.
I'm Dr. Sean Deneen, your resident historian. Today we're staying in Gotham City. Look at our Batman podcast when you get a chance. But we're shifting our focus. We're talking about one of the most enduring, complicated, and slippery characters in American pop culture, Catwoman.
In this episode, we're going to do three big things. First, we're going to walk through Catwoman's history and the eras she's moved through and look at how she's changed, sometimes villain, sometimes hero, sometimes something in between. We're also going to ask what Catwoman says about American ideas of gender, power, crime, independence, and desire. Then we're also going to look at the very basics here. Catwoman is most often known as Selina Kyle. Her origins shift constantly, but she's typically portrayed as a skilled thief, a survivor, and a woman who operates outside the law, sometimes against Batman, sometimes alongside him, sometimes emotionally entangled with him.
So let's go back to the beginning and start. Dr. Deneen, tell us when Catwoman first shows up.
Catwoman first appeared in Batman #1 in 1940, jointly created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane. She's initially called the Cat and is introduced as a jewel thief who crosses paths with Batman almost immediately.
And right away, she's different from most early comic villains.
Very much so. She's not monstrous, not male, not a mad scientist. She's glamorous, clever, and sexually confident, especially by 1940s standards. She flirts with Batman, manipulates situations, and repeatedly escapes capture.
So, right from the jump, she's not just bad guy of the week, she's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. Early Catwoman represents a disruption in a genre full of male power fantasies. She's a woman who refuses to be owned, corrected, or contained. And that made her dangerous in a very specific way.
It's also important to note that early Catwoman doesn't wear the catsuit we think of today. She starts as a socialite thief, even a woman in disguise, freely passing through high society. That reflects anxieties about women who could move freely through male dominated spaces.
And she's already starting to hit a lot of points and push a lot of buttons, like crime, class, sexuality, and even independence.
And Batman is visibly conflicted. He knows she's a criminal, but he's also drawn to her. That tension becomes foundational. So, what does Catwoman say about America in the early 1940s, for goodness sakes?
She arrives at a moment where women are beginning to step outside domestic traditional roles, especially as World War II approaches. Listen to our Wonder Woman podcast for more about that. There's a cultural fascination with women who are competent, mobile, and self directed. And let's be honest, it's paired with a deep fear of them.
Also, doesn't hurt that she's very attractive.
Quite so.
Absolutely.
Both Wonder Woman and Catwoman. Kind of interesting that way, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Catwoman embodies that kind of contradiction. She's admired and punished at the same time. She's alluring, but she must be stopped at times. That push pull mirrors broader cultural unease about women's independence.
Now, she's not essentially evil, I would say, but watch out because she's also not good enough to be trusted.
Yeah, exactly. She occupies the space America didn't know what to do with.
Then we hit the 1950s and things get restrictive.
The Comics Code Authority changes everything. Sexuality out. Moral ambiguity and criminal glamour are also clamped down on. Catwoman is softened, sidelined, or removed altogether.
In one infamous storyline, Selena Kyle actually reforms, marries Bruce Wayne, and has a child, essentially neutralizing her as a disruptive force.
So, so you mean to tell me that the solution to Catwoman is marriage?
Yeah, that's not subtle, and it's not accidental. The post war era was obsessed with re domesticating women after World War II. Remember some of the, the very famous posters about women joining the workforce and that very strong looking woman. Uh, I think she's pounding metal or something. Isn't that right, Sean?
Yes, Rosie the Riveter.
Rosie the Riveter. Yes, thank you. You know, and now, okay, the war is over. We don't need women in the workplace or something. So we want to repackage them in a sense. So Catwoman's danger wasn't just that she stole, it was that she didn't need anyone.
And during the campy 1960s Batman television show led by Adam West, Catwoman becomes playful, theatrical, and flirtatious, but she's not threatening. She's mischievous, not revolutionary.
Absolutely. And you know, Lee Merriweather, Julie Newmar, and my personal favorite, Eartha Kitt. Well, they're all three very different Catwomen, but all framed as temptresses rather than existential threats.
Yes, she becomes safe enough to laugh at. That should tell you something.
Well, when does Catwoman get that edge back?
In the 70s and 80s, as comics mature, Catwoman regains her complexity. Writers started reimagining her as a survivor, sometimes a former sex worker, sometimes a widow, sometimes a street orphan, often someone shaped by Gotham's cruelty.
This aligns with second wave feminism and urban realism. Catwoman is no longer stealing jewels for fun. She's navigating an unjust system.
Right, she's not robbing banks just because she's wanting to be evil. She's robbing banks because the system already robbed her.
Exactly. Crime becomes commentary.
This era also deepens her moral ambiguity. She sometimes helps Batman, sometimes undermines him, and sometimes pursues her own agenda entirely.
So she's not just some villain redemption arc. She is a refusal to pick a side.
Yeah. Moving into the 1990s to the 2000s, the 1990s push Catwoman into darker psychological territory.
You see that especially in film. Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman in the film Batman Returns in 1992 is a trauma narrative. Selena Kyle is literally reborn after being abused and discarded by male power.
And she's not just a thief, she is rage in a cat suit.
And importantly, her sexuality is no longer just titillation, it's weaponized. She controls the gaze. She decides when desire is a trap. Another interesting aspect of this, of all the critters that you could choose, a cat. Let's look at a cat just very, very briefly here. What is a cat? Well, you want to get scratched by a cat? Huh? Do you, Sean?
Absolutely
No!
not.
How about would you like to have those very sharp piercing teeth of a cat bite into you.
No.
Ouch!
On the other hand, isn't it nice when that cat jumps up in your lap, nuzzles your hand, and says, "Pet me, love me," or when they crawl up in your bed with you to sleep?
That's the greatest
Now
feeling in the
that I
world.
love.
Yeah, me too. So the complexity of the cat is also reflected in Catwoman. Wonderful choice that they made.
I think
Really.
so. Her sexual energy and deciding when desire is a trap reflects broader conversations in society in the 90s about women reclaiming sexual agency while still being punished for it.
And then in the 2000s, we get more grounded versions, sometimes hit or miss, but the theme stays the same: survival, autonomy, control.
Modern interpretations emphasize her right of choice. Catwoman isn't redeemed by Batman. She chooses when to help, when to steal, and when to just walk away.
In recent comics and films, she's often framed as a protector of marginalized communities in Gotham, stealing upward, not downward.
Which makes her feel very current.
Yeah, indeed. She embodies skepticism towards institutions, especially law enforcement and wealth. Where Batman believes in fixing the problem from above, Catwoman survives beneath it.
Let's zoom out for a bit. What ideas does Catwoman represent?
Well, first, moral flexibility. Catwoman doesn't believe the law equals justice. She believes in outcomes.
She's a critique of rigid morality. In a corrupt city, following the rules may be immoral. Catwoman asks what many of us ask: who decides what's illegal and who benefits?
Now, we can't ignore gender here either.
Well, no, not at all. Catwoman is a living challenge to how female power is perceived. She's competent, sexual, self interested, and refuses punishment narratives. She will not be a victim.
Historically, women like that are either, quote, fixed or destroyed. Catwoman survives, and she survives on her own terms.
Yes, she does, and she does not apologize for it either. Now, her relationship with Batman is complicated.
Crucially, she desires him without surrendering herself. That's pretty rare in American storytelling.
She's not a reward. She's a choice, sometimes his, sometimes hers, sometimes neither.
Now, let's talk theft.
Theft, indeed. Catwoman's crimes often expose inequality. She steals from elites who hoard resources, art, and wealth.
In that sense, she's closer to Jean Valjean or Robin Hood than Joker.
With better outfits. Now, what does Gotham look like to Catwoman?
For her, it's not a puzzle to be solved, it's a place to survive.
Batman looks down from rooftops. Catwoman moves through windows, alleys, and back rooms. She knows the city's underbelly because she lives there.
Like Batman, Catwoman has a million versions.
And each reflects the cultural attitudes toward women of the time: seductress, victim, anti hero, revolutionary.
Which means, quote, my Catwoman is a deeply personal statement.
If Batman is an idea, what idea is Catwoman?
Refusal. She refuses to be owned. She refuses to be categorized. She refuses to be or redeemed on someone else's terms. She refuses that.
She's the living symbol of opting out.
So, why exactly does Catwoman last?
because she adapts. She thrives in ambiguity.
Psychologically, she represents freedom with consequences, power without permission.
Yeah, and for fans, she's the answer to what if I didn't play by the rules designed to limit me?
She embodies the tension between desire and independence, especially for women in American culture.
Studying Catwoman is studying how America negotiates autonomy, gender, crime, and power.
Well, that's our tour of Catwoman, from jewel thief to cultural icon.
Yeah, tell us your Catwoman. Campy, tragic, ruthless, romantic?
And remember, ladies and gentlemen, sometimes the most revealing characters aren't the ones who follow the rules, but the ones who slip through them.
Indeed. Okay. Well, for things you don't know, I'm Dr. William Weaver.
Dr. Sean
And
Deneen.
I'm Chandler Foster. Stay curious and maybe lock up your valuables?